Success for all students in today's classroom. Implementing universal design for learning. And I am Devaney Trivet. I'll be presenting this information today. Universal design for learning is about providing options so that all students can be successful in the classroom. From the universal design for learning perspective, curriculum itself is what is disabled or challenged, not the student. So when we seek to design learning that is universally applicable to all students, what we do is we seek, instead of fixing the student, to fix or adjust the curriculum. Many classrooms today that do not serve all students or engage all students are designed for a learner that is good at listening to lectures, such as the students we see engaged in learning pictured here. Well, not all students are fitting into that category. The goal with UDL is to connect the content in the best way for the individual learner. So we're going to learn to tailor our lessons to each learner. So here is Universal Design for Learning strategy number 1. Provide many modes for representation. Those with sensory learning, language, or cultural differences benefit from options for ways to approach content. Others may simply comprehend information presented through visual or auditory means rather than printed text more readily. Learners are different and require different modes of presentation of material. Here's UDL strategy number 2 for meeting the needs of all learners. Provide many means of student expression of learned materials. If we provide multiple ways for students to express their learning, such as kinetic, as will be demonstrated above, more students will be able to transfer material taught and connect with the materials and be engaged to learn. So, educators who use universal design for learning present materials in visual form. We want to meet the needs of learners who are visual learners. We also present materials in audio form so learners can listen, as well as in textual form depending on the needs and learning style of the student. UDL strategy or principle number 3. Provide multiple means of student engagement. So we want students to be motivated, so we need to connect to their interests. We provide many ways that students can express what they are learning. We also want to connect with their talents. With multiple ways to engage students, more students will be able to be motivated to connect with the material taught, as described before. So, some students prefer to work in groups, some in pairs, while others prefer to work individually. Universal design for learning is about assessing these student needs and meeting those needs. Some prefer to write, some to listen, some students prefer to speak, and others to act out what they have learned. In designing your curriculum to meet the needs of all learners, you'll assess those aspects as well. Movement brings out the best in some students. And digital media brings out the best in others. While some students are going to connect with content that is linked to their favorite music, still other students have other skills. Maybe they know about a different culture or speak more than one language. Those are all things to consider in designing curriculum. Some students prefer using photography to communicate through imagery. Some will connect through visual art. It's the teacher's responsibility in Universal Design for Learning to find ways to connect the learner to the content. So knowing these things is important. Other students learn through the study of natural phenomena. And still, some students are going to be naturally gravitate toward the study of animals. Whatever content you teach, try to use student interests to connect them to content if they have any problems with motivation. We have those students that love to read and connect strongly to text-based information, and those students, we still want to teach those students, and we can provide supplemental reading materials for those students. Some students are very social and like to work in groups collaboratively, so we want to play to those strengths. While at the same time, other students are still going to prefer independent work. So we want to give opportunities for independent work to those students. The key is flexibility and working with the student and helping them to learn in the way that they learn best. Some students are naturally drawn to cooking or baking, so using a recipe to connect maybe social studies content, a recipe from one culture, while others love sports. Those would have kinetic connections to literature or any content. Knowing these things is important, and the winning question is, how do we learn these things about our students? That's where assessment comes in to the Universal Design for Learning process, and that's what we're going to learn about in this workshop. Universal Design for Learning and assessment. Assessment is very important. It's a very important part of Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. One way to learn about student learning styles, strengths, skills, and preferences is through assessment in the classroom in the form of recorded observations. And even though we might be limited to the classroom environment, observing the modes and means students are naturally drawn to is an effective way to connect students to content.